animals you're going to see here today, there are just a few rules that I have to go over. After around the first 20 minutes of it being in there, I am going to be one of the only staff members left in the aquarium. So once we're in there, we're going to have to try and stick together as much as possible. Try not to walk too far ahead, stay too far behind. I just need to know where everyone is at all times, just in case of an emergency. And as we're going around, you've all seen many different representations of trees, rocks on the walls. They are all fake, so try not to lean on them too much, because if you fall through them, you will realise pretty quickly that they're not real. And also, you can take as many pictures as you'd like. As we're going around through phones, cameras, please make sure to turn off your flash on that phone or camera. Our fish don't have eyelids, they can't blink with that sensitivity to light. And they're also going into their nighttime routine, so we don't want to interrupt that nighttime routine. But as the majority of everyone is here, if you'd like, you can start making your way in. Just wait on the other side of this waterfall area, and we'll just wait for the last two to arrive. Once you're ready, you can head on through. These fish may not look very spectacular, not very colourful, but they are quite interesting in their own. They are completely harmless, but predators don't know that, so they just use that blue ring as a bluff to increase their survival. Very, very special type of rainbow fish in here. They're called the Lake Eacham rainbow fish. And the reason the Lake Eacham rainbow fish are important is because they are now extinct in the wild. So these guys are maybe some of the last of their kind. Lake Eacham is a crater lake formed due to volcanic eruption. This volcanic eruption left a big crater, and then over time it filled in with water from rain. So they were eaten by this predator, and it's
they definitely look like it.
Oh yeah, pretty sure they are. Yeah, sure.
I'm actually not sure. Yet to be told that I don't know by looking. We have a little preview of the aquarium. They're all amazing in their own right. They all have some interesting qualities. But this tank itself, this is a representation of a billabong found in the Gulf of Somalia. These are little water holes that are not connected to any natural water sources. So this is actually only what the billabongs will look like for a very small portion of the year. Because the Gulf of Somalia experiences the same seasons we do down here in cairns. It has its hot season and its hotter season, or its wet and its dry season. And during the dry season, all of these animals will evaporate into the river system. There will be no water in these billabongs. There will be no life. There may be some insects, there may be some reptiles in these billabongs during the dry season. But the entire billabong changes once the wet season arrives, and these billabongs, our Gulf of Somalia can experience up to 50,000 Sydney harvests of water every single wet season. That means the billabongs will start to fill up, and they fill up with that much intensity that they burst their banks, and the water spreads up to 50 kilometers in every direction. And that's when these brand new fresh waterways will connect to our natural waterways, like our rivers, that lead all the way down to the ocean. Our activities service our freshwater highways, because they create this link between these brand new fresh waterways and the ocean, the saltwater environment. And this is important because there's around 40 different species that live down in the ocean, which actually travel up into fresh water. And they can do this because they can regulate the amount of salt in their body. They can do something called osmoregulation. Any animal wants to transfer from salt to freshwater or vice versa, needs to be able to regulate those salt levels. And the reason these animals will actually travel up into fresh water is to breed, is to mate, is to spawn. They want to have their young in a nice, safe place, like these billabongs. They're brand new, there's no predators yet, they're safer. There are some that head up as babies for that safety. But there are also some that head up from the ocean just to eat all this big prey that's out there, so they're just big gluttons, really. But the first fish I am going to talk about in this tank is a fish that travels from the salt water to fresh water, and they do it as a baby to get to that safety. I believe we just try and not walk like that on there, we don't want anyone to fall over. But with these guys, they travel up from the ocean to freshwater as a baby to get to the billabongs for that safety. This is a very well-known and iconic species of fish found here in far north Queensland. Many of you may have heard of this fish, or even seen this fish on every single menu coming through cairns. It's a very, very popular fish for its commercial value. It's good eat. They are the silvery bronze fish with a big silver forehead and what looks like a small mouth. Do any of you guys know what this fish is? The barramundi, that is exactly right. They are the barramundi. And they are amazing fish, not just because they're good eats, but they're actually really important to our mangroves. And they have amazing life cycles. All barramundi are born male. There is no such thing as a baby female barramundi. And when they're born down in the mangroves, a female will lay up to 32 million eggs. Those eggs will be fertilized by a male and they'll hatch and then head straight into fresh water for that safety as a full male population. And as this tank is fresh water, every barramundi you see here is male. They stay in fresh water for the first 4 to 6 years of their life while they grow and mature until they get to an age where they want to fertilize eggs themselves. That's when they'll head back down to the mangroves, find eggs, fertilize eggs, and as long as they fertilize eggs and then stay in salt water, that's when their life starts to take a turn. And that's because one day they'll go to sleep as a glen, and they'll wake up as a glender. That's right, they actually change to being female later on in their life cycle. But they have to fertilize eggs first, and they have to stay in salt water. And once they change to being female, they remain female for the rest of their lives. But I didn't make it sound like this change happens overnight. It can actually take up to 3 years for a fully mature male to transition into a fully mature female. And these guys aren't the only fish that do this. There are many fish species that do this in this type of reproduction in the wild. You'll see, I guys just try to get off the flash, okay? That's it, it's okay, don't worry. It's okay, don't worry. But these guys, there are hump-headed barrier rats you'll see down in our Great Barrier Reef zone. They start their life as female. And they'll only change one at a time into a male. But if the male dies, the next largest female will become male. So they have certain conditions that need to be met to transition. The same as clownfish, so our Nemos, which are all born male. One will change to be female, it will grow bigger, and that female will choose a mate. If that female dies, its mate will become a female. So in Finding Nemo, Marlin would have become a female. So it would have been, you would have been Nemo's dad anymore, you would have become Nemo's mum. But you will get to see different examples as we head on through.
Over 550 animals in this tank. This tank is absolutely amazing because it really does almost showcase what it's like out on our coast of the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef itself is amazing, as many of you will know. It is very, very well known worldwide. It has many, many different titles. It's known as one of the world's largest barrier reef. It's known as a 7th natural wonder of the world. It's a World UNESCO Heritage Site, and it's even known as the world's largest living structure. But this last tile is a little bit misleading, because it makes the Great Barrier Reef sound like it's made up of just one single structure. But it's actually made up of over 3,000 individual reefs and over 900 islands and coral caves, which all come together to create the Great Barrier Reef. All these small reefs, they act as their own little ecosystem with different life inhabiting each. And with our drop-off zones, they are one of the most important because they hold the most life. They have a very high biodiversity, a big variety of all different animals that have chosen to live together. And the only reason they've all chosen our drop-off zones is for the accessibility of food. There's lots of food on our drop-off zones. Yeah. We can head out, but I'd have to take you down. Amazing animals that have chosen to live together on our drop-off zones. And they've all had to try and learn how to survive together. And that's because all this food brings loads of animals. It becomes competitive. Those animals that are coming to eat all the small food that's on our drop-off zones, they bring their predators. It's high predation, lots of predators. So they've had to figure out survival strategies. One of the first fish I'm going to talk about their survival strategy, uses colours and patterns to survive. They have this very bright yellow tail, a white body, 3 black lines coming through their body, and a big black dot on the base of their tail. Right now I can see some on the left-hand side of the tank. They use that black dot on the base as a false eye spot, and they use that to make their tail look like their face. They have a big dark black line going through their face, making their face look like their tail. They want to make themselves look backwards so predators will think that their tail is their face. They'll start swimming up towards it. They like to be sneaky, but they'll actually be swimming up towards their face, giving them more time to see the predator. This gives them a bigger chance at survival. We've got fish in here which use weapons. Sorry? The one with big unicorns? The ones with big horns at the front? These are unicorn fish. And these guys use weapons, but the weapon isn't that horn. The horn's only there to tell us which one's a male and female. Longer horn male, shorter horn female. Their weapons are actually on the base of their tail. If you look closely, you'll see 2 blue dots on either side of the base of the tail. And these blue dots are as sharp as a surgeon's knife. They actually belong to a family of fish thanks to these scales, called surgeonfish. And many of you may know of the surgeonfish called Dory. Dory is a palate surgeonfish, and she has that scale on the base of her tail. But in Dory's case, she's very bright blue with bright yellows, and as we've learned, that means danger, poisonous or venomous. Dory is a venomous species of fish, and she has a paralytic venom on that scale on the base of her tail. So the way she uses it comes with a little extra kick. But the way they use it is if a predator comes up from behind, they'll give a few quick swipes of that tail, cut up the scales, cut up the inside of the mouth, cause some pain, make the predator reel back so that they can get away to safety. So they use their weapons to survive. We've also got the biggest fish here in this tank called Teddy. She's right down at the bottom of the tank at the moment. If you lean over, you may be able to see her. She's resting on the sand. She is the very bright blue and green fish with the big hump on her head. She is our humphead Maori wrasse. And she is interesting like the barramundi was. Because I mentioned the humphead Maori wrasse are all born female and later in life become male. She is in her transition at the moment to becoming male. Because when we received her, she realised there's no male. She's the only female, so she needs to become male. At the moment she is still a she, but soon she will be a he. But that's when she developed all those nice colours and that big hump on her head.
Does she change colours when she turns to a he?
So yeah, if you look at this diagram here, they start off silver in colour. And smaller, don't have that hump on their head. And then that slow transition over like 2-3 years creates this big change into this beautiful fish. If any of you have been out to Moor Reef before, they have a humphead Maori wrasse out there called Wally. And Wally is absolutely amazing, very, very friendly. and they actually did an experiment with Wally, because these fish are actually very, very smart. They have facial recognition. Wally had been diving with a diver for many years. When that diver moved away, a 5-year period went by. When the diver came back, they put 50 divers in the water with that diver, all wearing the same equipment, but Wally seemed to know exactly which one was his diver and was just staying with his diver.
And this one just knew when you were talking about it.
When she's down at the bottom sitting on the sand, if you look at her eyes, she follows you around the tank. So they really are intelligent. It's not something fish get credit for. But she is amazing because her survival strategy protects our reef, because she eats crown of thorns sea star. And as many of you may know, crown of thorns sea star are a huge threat to the reef right now because their populations have grown out of control due to the overfishing of crumphead Maori wrasse. We are now trying to intervene. We've made the humphead Maori wrasse a protected species. We are trying to keep check on the population of crown of thorns by, in the beginning, catching them and cutting them up and throwing them back. Each of the 15 arms can grow a new body. So we ended up increasing the population. But they have now invented an injection, something similar to vinegar, which can dissolve the body of the crown of thorns. So we are starting to make headway. But we are now going to move into our danger of the reef section, where you'll get to see our crown of thorns. And if you Well, welcome to our Coral Sea Oceanarium. We have many different types of sharks and rays in here. You'll see some small rays swimming around confidently as I talk. These are our rays. These are a type ray like manta rays and eagle rays. They are related to those bigger rays, but in here they're very, very small.
Is the crabfish one?
Sorry?
Is there a crabfish one?
There's not in here, and not like I've been told about you.
Which one was on that? That's sort of the
Oh, horseshoe crab.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, no, we don't have horseshoe crab here in the aquarium,
So, if there's anything relating to horseshoe crab,
Yeah.
that is true.
He has all those bumps on his body, as you can see. But other sharks wise, down at the bottom here we have the largest shark in the tank, and her name is Arnie. Arnie is our tawny nurse shell.